Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Automated Advantage. This week, we're talking to the CEO of Envision, David Aaron. He's going to tell you some interesting stories about how he started right before the pandemic, how they survived the pandemic, and his background in sports. Very interesting topics that we discussed. Hopefully, everybody enjoys. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Automated Advantage. And this week, we have David Aaron on. Maybe, David, just introduce yourself and your business. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm David Aaron, CEO of Envision. What we do is we provide brand and creative solutions for businesses and organizations. We've been around for about 6 years, and we're in an evolutionary phase in our life cycle. So we're really excited about the new year ahead.
That's great to hear. So maybe just talk about, you said 6 years, which is great. So how you got started, what hole did you see in the market? Just kind of general about how and when you guys got started.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, we started about 6 years ago at the end of 2019. At that time, what we saw was a pretty significant gap in the market between businesses and organizations and the brand that they need to resonate. So this can span from nonprofit organizations to for-profit businesses to sports organizations to anything industry agnostic was kind of our approach, understanding that it's very difficult for businesses and organizations to find the right talent, the right help, the right understanding of their story to be able to build a brand that can help them grow in their business and achieve what they want to achieve. So we set out to build a solution that can be a complete brand solution for these organizations, so they don't need to, manage with disconnected, fragmented pieces. They can get everything they need all in one spot.
Okay, so it's interesting because so I mean anybody looking to build a brand is your kind of customer profile. I get that. And so what have you? So 2019 is an interesting time to start a business. I mean, the next year we had this crazy scenario. So how did any of like how did that it change your thinking? And I know you had these visions of how the business was going to go, and then that changed. So maybe that's a good conversation about.
Yeah, no doubt. So we originally, I take that question in kind of two sides. Obviously, there's the internal workings of the business and the operation, and there's also the external. How does our product fit in the market? So for us internally, obviously COVID was a rough time worldwide, but for us it kind of gave us a chance to really lock in and focus. And me and my co-founder actually were roommates at the time, so it gave us a chance to almost cut off the outside world and really lock in and focus on what we were building. So from an operational perspective, I think it helped our build a bit and helped our focus. From an external product perspective, I think what happened in 2020 and 2021 almost made the need for a complete brand solution that much more paramount for businesses and organizations. With everyone being at home, the only way that you can communicate with your customer base, whether you're an e-commerce brand or an organization, whoever you are, the only way you can communicate with your customers, with your clients, with your stakeholders, whoever that may be, is through your brand. And I think that gained importance in that time. And since then, just obviously has taken off and is one of the key differentiators behind the great businesses and great organizations, and the ones that come next.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good. Sometimes these crazy things happen for a particular reason. You never know why, but then it ultimately kind of shows in its past. So
No doubt.
so you talked about you and your partner. So how do you? I mean, do you have employees and people working on your team?
Yeah, so we've been kind of up and down in our 6 years. Some at points we've had up to 14 people working. At other times we've been stripped back down to two and back down to the studs. And we are a fully bootstrapped company from day one, which creates an environment where you kind of have to pivot and flow with what makes sense in the moment. What we've come to is we have a pretty dynamic model that includes a big contractor base that we call our EYS base, with talent all around the globe. And that's the main engine that helps us run. Internally, we have about 4 to 6 people on the day today, between part time, full time, that come in and out. And as well, we have fractional help across the board. So, fractional accounting, fractional finance, fractional advisory. And so, what we've kind of figured out is with the way the workforce is moving, um, with AI and with everything that's coming up, it's a benefit to have a dynamic model. And I feel like we're blessed to be in year 6 in this time, as opposed to an established company who established this workflow for decades and then kind of has to reverse engineer with the technology evolutions and everything that's coming. So I look at that as a pretty big advantage for us.
Yeah, no, and I think that that's a really good comment because I'm from the consulting world as well, and having hired in-house talent, then it just some makes difficult decisions at some point where you have this fractional model or a subcontractor model is definitely, as long as you work with trusted people, it's definitely a great model to
For
employ. Um, so you talked about your customer, you said ideal customer, and it's kind of a broad span, but how are you guys finding customers and what's your strategy there?
Yeah, so in the first 6 years, it's been solely based on founder network and founder led sales. We have actually never used, up until about July of this year, had never used any external tools or even external talent. It's really just been founder led sales and understanding organic network and how that can bloom. So we got a lot of clients through referrals and just through knowing people who know other people and doing great work and believing in what we do and believing in our product and our solution, which tends to spread. At this point, we feel like we have a product and a solution that can scale. Um, and it's about now opening in 2026, opening up new growth doors to really scale and really bring in new partners and new clientele to help us get to our goals.
Yeah, no, that's most people doing it, in that way. And it's again, you talk about bootstrap and the business model is definitely changed. But I think it's a sound strategy. When I was doing some research, I'd noticed that you had worked for some sports organizations. Of course, we saw the logos. Maybe you saw Ohio State. I think I saw NFL and that type of stuff. So maybe just give us a little story about how that came about. And it looks like a fun place to be.
Yeah, so without diving too deep into my background, actually, I went to Ohio State and worked as the director of brand and creative for the basketball program there, along with Joe Gemma, who, if he ever sees this, I appreciate the shout out. But we worked hand in hand, kind of building up the Ohio State basketball program brand to where it is today, and then ended up with the NFL and the NHL. So, in that experience, what we really figured out, and what I figured out too, was this idea of story and this idea of brand is powerful, not only for the Ohio States of the world or the NHL, the NFL, but for every single business or organization in the world. We wholeheartedly believe that every single business, every single organization has a unique story, whether it's an X's and O's, linear business, or the most dynamic nonprofit organization in the world that has all sorts of impact across the board. We don't look at that as tiers of story. We look at every single business and organization as having a story, and it's on a great brand solution to be able to take that story and position it in a way to lead that company forward. So that sports experience, helped us understand, as I think as a sports fan, sport is story encapsulated. So that showed us the exposure to story, but now what we've done is just understood that that can be taken in many different directions. So sport was a key part of our growth, both internally and externally.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of sports setting some very fundamental lessons in life and things like that. Being sports, not only a fan, but having participated in my life. And by the way, sorry for the that football game on the weekend was a little was crazy. I don't think many people expected that result.
Yeah, some of my best friends were actually from Philly at the game, so um,
Wow.
I'm glad I wasn't there. Even though it looked like a good experience, but the the ending put me to sleep angry. So
Yeah.
we
No.
we ride next week though.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So business wise, and you talked about bootstrapping, small teams. So what? like what does a day, typical day look like for you? What keeps you busy?
A
Is there a
typical
typical day?
day, a typical day today is a lot smoother than year one, year two, when we were just figuring it out. And I think there's a lot of benefits to being, young and hungry, which at the time, well, young is all relative, but at the time, me and my co-founder were really young for starting something out of nothing, and our team as well was made up of college kids, even some high school kids, and just finding our way. At the time, year one, year two, our days were all over the place, and we didn't have much of an understanding of infrastructure, systems, processes, workflows, SOPs, everything that we know now. Um, but 6 years later, with the great help of some really key advisory, really key understanding of taking in wisdom from podcasts, books, everything of the sort, my co-founder actually calls it, my co-founder Durga calls it, we went to almost university in our first 5 years going to schools. Neither of us were business majors or anything of the sort, but we learned that through the hard days of the first 5 years, going from bootstrap startup to where we're at now.
Yeah, no, I think that that's again, it's good insight, and so maybe that takes me to the next question because very clearly I'm on the other end of the spectrum as it relates to age, and I started my first business a few months ago at the ripe young age of 58. So maybe for people that are looking to, hey, I wonder if I should do this. Maybe I'm thinking about it. I have a great idea. Like any specific advice? Like what was the, you guys just said, holy, whatever. I'm just gonna go do this. But advice for people thinking about it.
Make sure it's something that you want to do before you take the leap. And it's actually, go back to the sports example. Francisco Lindor, and my aunt just sent me this quote that he had. It's the shortstop for the New York Mets. He making hundreds of millions of dollars, and you would think someone in that position chasing their dreams, on a baseball diamond for a living, is in a spot where they're passionate every day. What he said in the interview is, there are some days where I don't want to be here, but what's more important is discipline, to understanding what my goals are and keeping that discipline now that I've decided that this is what I want to be and this is where I want to go. So I think about that a lot in terms of, obviously I have a clear passion, and my co-founder has a clear passion of wanting to impact and change the world, but you don't wake up like that every day. So the first advice I would give is, make sure this is something that you want to not only do, but you want to follow through with when everyone else is, going to bars or going on vacations or, taking weekends off. Make sure that this is what you want to do and understand your purpose and your why behind doing it, and then carry that. And if you believe in yourself and you believe that this is the path you want to take, you only live one time. So dive into it and go 10 toes in.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. It's the why is a very key component to that. The business council guy that I have is like make sure you write down the why
The
and
why.
keep looking at it on a daily basis because you're right. It's like, and the other piece, I mean, you can maybe relate to this too and validate it as well as what people told me too is you think you're going to make your first dollar in week one, add 3 months to that or whatever it is. It takes a while to get going and you've got to stick to it.
That's a not an easy thing to do, but that is the truth, especially when you're going at it for the first time and bootstrapped. It's, you're going to go through the mud and think you're out of the mud, and you're going to get slapped right back into the mud, and you're going to be even deeper than you were before. But it's one of our advisors told us one time in our early days, maybe year two or year three, we were heading into the new year and we felt really good about ourselves, and there's been so many back and forth since then. But what he said is, anytime something happens where goes off plan, it forces you to develop a more resilient business, a more resilient model, and that really helped us. That wisdom of understanding that these losses, and we like to fail fast so we can learn quick. These quote losses, if we turn them into aspects that makes our model, makes our business more resilient and stronger, that's how you win the long game. Not by just following the plan and thinking everything's going to go smooth.
Yeah. No, I think that's again good insight. So the hot topic of the century or the is obviously AI. Has AI impacted your industry or how you go about doing what you guys are doing? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say it has wholeheartedly changed our vision for the future. That's something that we're deeply focused on right now is integrating AI into our direct product. And in the you know today where we're standing, I would say AI is about 10% integrated into our product the way that we foresee it in the next 6 to 12 months. But it's key for us, and we've been at a couple key summits and conferences that we've understood the possibility that's out there with AI, but also with technology and advancements in technology as a whole. AI is going to be a key integral part of our product solution going forward. So that's something we're really excited about. Obviously, things move fast there, but we've made some strategic hires to bring in talent who has a deep understanding of the space. And as well, my co-founder, Dirk, also has a very, very deep understanding of the space and how to integrate that responsibly. So that's something that we're locked in, focused on.
Yeah, I think the thing with that is you have to. I mean, that's I was just talking to somebody before our call, and every industry is seeing it in a different way. But I just feel like if you're not embracing it, you're gonna, and even the way you go to market, and maybe the way your products are were as to in 2019 as to what they are now. It may be different, but you have to change, and it's so fast right now.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what we're focused on. And if people don't, follow the technology advancements, I heard on a podcast yesterday, it said their mediocrity is our opportunity. And Walt Disney said that about, at the time when they were building these amusement parks and everything Disney was doing. And that's similar to how I feel about it. If you're not taking advantage of the opportunity at hand, that's a bigger opportunity for us to take on market share and build something that, takes over. So that's the mentality. And it we do it responsibly, and that's the goal, is to do it responsibly and not take away the human soul and the beauty of what we do, because that is paramount to any technological advancement that will ever come for us. But if we're not working with this and understanding the opportunity and capitalizing on it, we would be misguided. So that's where our focus is.
Yeah, and that's a good comment too, because I mean, a lot of what I'm getting from people is, hey, people are going to lose jobs and things like that. And I mean, I think there will be some form of that, but jobs are going to change. And I think my comment to people is, look, what it's allowing you to do is get to the answer faster. You're still going to need a person. Now, let's just say you're a software developer. You still need somebody to check the homework. You're just getting to the homework a whole lot faster. And I think if people kind of put that mindset out there, it does generally make them change. But I don't know if that's what you're seeing as well.
That is what we're seeing. I think for us, it's human led technology, not the other way around. And that's crucial
Yeah.
for us. And, as deep as we are integrating AI into our product and into our solution, there's a human aspect to what we do that will give us that main differentiator, for the next decades. And that's where our focus is on, making sure that the human intangible aspect of story and of understanding, which is, what makes us special, in my opinion, matches perfectly with this AI and with technological advancement, so it can come together and almost create a for us a product that changes the world.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to it, right? Is again going a little bit of my previous statement and highlighting on what you said is somebody somebody's job actually becomes more interesting then because they're focusing on more strategic things, more fun things, and the boring, mundane things are being taken care of by an AI agent.
100%. Even in the creative space, which has been, I know this is a big conversation. The forget his name, but Scott Belsky, the director of product or some role at Behance and Adobe. I actually listened to a podcast about a year and a half ago, and all of these AI advancements were just, kind of coming out to the public at large scale. And he said all this does is it erases the technological gap and it increases the need for taste. And I think that's been our approach from day one. Is I'll compete on taste now that we don't have to necessarily compete at the level that we had to before with the barrier of entry technologically. So I think it evens the playing field, and I'm taking us in I'm taking us in our ability to understand taste and build something really special.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. So I appreciate the time and all of that. Is just again maybe if there's a website or something that you want to name your company again, just shoot that out and then.
Yeah, so you can follow us on socials at Envision Story, Envision Story, one word. So follow us on socials. That'll be, it's been rolling out for years, but there'll be new initiatives coming out throughout 2026. And you can also find us at envisionstory.com. Um, and you can find everything you need there. And, anyone who would see this and, wants to talk about what our brand solution can do for your business or your organization, my LinkedIn is also available, and I would love to talk.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, thank you so much, David. I know that everybody's busy these days running businesses, but this has been enlightening. So,
I appreciate
thank you for joining us this week, and I will stop the recording.
it.